Welcome to Hungry Dads, your guided tour through the delicate and often overwhelming balancing act between food indulgences and social acceptance. And now, as always, here are your hosts, Rod Budget and Hugh Gallen.
Hello and welcome to episode 55 of the Hungry Dads podcast. I'm Rod Budget.
I'm Hugh Gallen.
And tonight we are delighted and honored to have the good people from the Coqui the Chef program, which is based in the Bronx, New York, that focuses on healthy eating, specifically teaching kids to cook healthy, eat healthy, and as we'll hear, it's more of a social movement as well. For those of you who are curious, Coqui is actually a frog. I believe they're found abundantly in Puerto Rico. I've been there, I've heard coquis. They have a distinctive Coqui chirp. You know, I do have a frog phobia. We'll hear that there are some frog costumes. I'm okay with the Coqui frog, I think. That's what I want to let everybody know. Coqui is a cute, intelligent frog with a quirky Coqui ribbit.
It's funny, I think we got through 53 episodes without mentioning frogs, and then in 54 you announce your frog phobia, and in 55 we have focused almost exclusively on Coqui the frog. This is the character that the Coqui the Chef program is based itself on, and you'll hear it in the interview. We talk about food and food marketing. That they're doing with Coqui the character, who's a frog chef, is they're really utilizing that strategy that you see from fast food restaurants. They've got a cute, lovable character, and they're ingratiating kids with that, and then using that as the entry to their message and good healthy eating. Taking that marketing strategy, which is often highly criticized, using a character to promote food, usually bad unhealthy food, they've turned that on its head. They're using it to promote healthy eating. We are constantly on that struggle. As everybody knows, we love junk food, we love fast food, but we are about balance. So we're very excited to speak with Coqui the Chef, and here they are. Would like to welcome Tanya and Chris. Tanya and Chris are going to talk to us about their cooking, health, and wellness program, Coqui the Chef. Tanya, Chris, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Just to give you a quick introduction to the Hungry Dads podcast, we talk about food culture. That includes all types of food, healthy food, and also junk food, which we struggle with. We're these guys who grew up with a junk food culture. And now we're in a more modern family, I guess, and our wives, God bless them, they don't let that stuff in the house anymore. And they expect meals with vegetables on the table every meal, and they expect the whole family to eat them.
As they should.
Exactly. And we're smart enough to know it with our brains, but our guts give us a hard time, which is why we're really happy to talk to you, because we think what you guys are doing is maybe going to help us dig ourselves out of our immature hole by telling us about some good ways to feed ourselves and feed our kids in a way that might be both healthy and tasty. So tell us about Coqui the Chef.
Coqui the Chef is a social enterprise. And what we do is that we teach cooking classes to the kids in the South Bronx. We teach them nutrition, we teach them basic healthy habits, how to cook together, how to communicate, how to socialize with one another. We saw that all this worked so well with the kids in the South Bronx. We wanted to move it along with a cooking show. Hence, you find a puppet. And it took us to a part where we knew that teaching kids how to cook helps them bond with their families and helps them bond with food and nature. I live in the Bronx and I've come from Puerto Rican family. I grew up asthmatic. Part of my asthma had to do a lot with the fact that I wasn't eating right. When I had my children, I raised them in Puerto Rico. I was able to learn all types of food, and it was more organic because you can raise it in your backyard. So when I came back to New York, I realized I found myself working a lot, busy mom all the time, really didn't have time to cook for my family. I was buying fast food. And that was easy for me. I just didn't have to worry about anything else. I was so used to my kids not getting sick so often to getting sick too often. And I was like, this is just something weird is going on. I started cooking more at home. And then I realized that their health started changing and the way they think and how well they were doing in school. And I was like, whoa, there's a connection here. And that's when I came up with Coqui the Chef. Just cooking at home, eating at home. I saw that it worked with my family. I went and I started twittering, blogging and stuff like that. People started donating recipes to the blog, and that's how it grew. And then I wanted to change it from working in an accounting office to working with food and studying culinary arts and nutrition. Then I met Chris. 2012, we were blessed with grants from American Heart Association and Citizens Committee.
I think another very positive thing we're doing, we're introducing foods that they're not used to, especially healthy foods that they're not used to. They might not ever think of ever trying it, and we present it in ways that are fun and delicious to them, and they fall in love with it. They love avocados. We've done a couple classes where we make guacamole. They get to mash it up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a lot of fun, and they're like, wow, avocados. I never had it before. Many, many different fruits and vegetables. And show them also how to prepare it in ways that it's not just eat your side of broccoli. We'll do a broccoli leaf lettuce wrap with their own homemade dipping sauce. So it's a whole experience rather than just broccoli.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the challenge as a parent. Sometimes it is just eat these vegetables, and it's tough to make that sell.
Well, I think a big part of connecting with the food is preparing it, touching it, manipulating it, cutting it, like the five senses, smelling it, seeing it, and then tasting it, enjoying it with your friends. We also ask them to talk about it, like, what did you like about this? What did you not like about this?
What would you say to somebody who says it's too hard or it's too expensive to buy good food and to cook it in our house? I mean, I think it's a legitimate sentiment.
Yeah, it is. We get confronted with that all the time because the average Bronx family income is $25,000 a year. That doesn't give us the opportunity to buy good food. And also, I live in a section in the Bronx where we don't really get quality food. We get the leftovers. Teaching these classes in the South Bronx would definitely tell these kids, hey, Mom, I want to make this. I want to make that. And parents follow what the kids say because when it's something good like that and positive, how the parent is going to say no? And then when they go to the supermarket and they see, wait a second, we can't get this ingredient, they're going to get angry. And when they're going to get angry, they're going to demand it. And then that's when they're going to talk to the produce manager and say, why don't we have this? The manager is going to listen, and the more people demand it, the more the manager is going to move. That's exactly what we're teaching the kids. You like this? Tell your mom about it. Take the recipe with you. Tell your mom about it. Tell your dad, tell your aunt, your uncle, your abuela that this is what we like to eat and this is what we want to eat because I don't want to have pimples. I want to look great. They're going through a stage in their life that there's a lot of peer pressure of how they look. And if they eat the right foods, they know they're doing something positive.
What you just described, from my mind, seems like the strategy that's employed by the fast food chains with sell it to the kids, get the kids to beg their parents for it.
Right.
But this time you're doing it for the healthy foods. The fast food and the junk food, that establishment has a huge marketing machine behind it. They're run by the big companies. Some of them are even starting to tout that their foods are natural or healthy, not so much out of a genuine sense, but out of what I think is a marketing sense. How do you think Coqui the Chef and those like you can kind of break through that to get into kids' ears when there's all that other noise about food coming at them?
All these fast food industries have a mascot. They have Ronald McDonald. They have that Burger King guy, which is weird looking.
We've talked about him before.
Yeah, and you have Kentucky Fried Chicken, who has that old man.
Yeah, he's weird now, too.
You know?
We've talked about him, too.
Yeah. So we need a mascot for healthy living, right?
Yeah.
For healthy eating.
Coqui is cute and adorable, and those
He's
three,
cute.
you guys I have a better chance than we think of breaking through the noise.
We not only teach them how to cook these foods, we teach them nutrition as well. We're going to do some classes with parents. A big part of that is going to be teaching nutrition labels. For example, a lot of foods that are labeled as less sodium. The USDA qualifies low sodium as less than 140 milligrams per serving, but less sodium is only 25% less than the original product.
Right, so it's not low.
It's 25% less than a truckload of salt.
That's exactly my point.
I think it's time as parents we step in and say, you're not going to do this to our children. If you heard our children are living shorter lives than us, that's ridiculous.
It seems like on a national scale, at least, that maybe things are starting to turn a little bit with parents pushing back and this newer generation being more health conscious.
I can see the slow progress in the supermarkets that are now labeling stuff low sodium, gluten-free. They're changing their produce to be more attractive. Bodegas here are also changing their fruits and veggies, and they're adding more and more healthy stuff. So I do see the progress, but it's very slow.
Where I see the change is just in, like, literally in myself. And just for instance, you know, wait, Rod, you'll see where I'm going. We are literally a couple of guys, a couple of dads who were raised in a food culture of our generation. There was a can of soda in the fridge every day, and there was a bag of chips in the cabinet whenever we wanted it.
Same here.
Yeah, and vegetables were served kind of as a necessary evil that you choke down. We as parents now are not repeating that, even though we have those urges, which is why Rod and I, we joke a lot on our show about what we call covert eating, which is to say, look, we do eat that stuff, but we don't do it in front of our kids. We are self-acknowledged hypocrites trying to get off the wagon with the bad foods, but at least we're trying to do it what we call covertly so that we don't pass it down to our children.
A lot of cookies in the shower and chips and dip in the laundry room, things like that.
I've decided to hail our hypocrisy as heroism. With that, we do have to feed our kids dinner every night, and we do our best to be clever and creative. But sometimes the most clever and creative we can get on our time or on our budget is Parmesan cheese on the broccoli or ketchup on whatever. Is that cheating? Is that okay? Is that to be avoided? Is that a necessary evil? What can you tell us about those tricks like Parmesan cheese and ketchup?
Make your own.
I agree, Tanya. A lot of the condiments are a huge source of fat and sodium.
But I suppose what you'd say is rather than buy the green can, buy some real cheese and shred it on there.
To shave it yourself.
That's actually a great idea because I think in that green can there's probably some fillers and
Preservatives, yeah.
Making our own ketchup is a step that I think we could get to, but we make our own tomato sauce, and we make it with vegetables in it. We grind up some broccoli in it, and we grind up other vegetables. What do you think about the hiding the vegetables in other things kind of methodology? Is that okay, or is that not teaching your kids to eat their vegetables?
What do you think, Tanya?
I still think they're getting the nutrition they need. You can give them the sauce and then afterwards tell them, you just ate some sauce with some mushroom in it. Was it tasty? And then show them what a mushroom looks like and then cut it into little pieces, wash it really good, of course. Let them feel it, smell it, and you're hiding it, but you're eventually going to introduce it to them.
I would suggest cut the vegetables with your kids and show them what you're putting in it and have them cut them with you and put it in the sauce. I think that they're invested in it, then they might be more interested to try it and appreciate it.
Realistically, what age do you think you can get your kid in the kitchen and what can you have them doing?
Lettuce. 2-year-old would be working more with their hands. They shred the lettuce with their hands. Broccoli, they can rip it off the stem. And then the 4-year-old, they can use a special knife. And that's the knife that we use for our classes. It's a safe knife and it doesn't cut them or anything. And it's great. It'll chop all the veggies and fruits really well.
Do you guys have any favorite healthy vegetables or foods or even simple recipes for the young kids that are relatively easy but still kind of unique and the kids like it and it's healthy?
Smoothies are fun to make.
We do have a blender.
Some yogurt, some orange juice, water, ice, some fresh fruit. Fruits like bananas. Kids can chop them themselves. Something like that would be fun. You can do that with vegetables as well as fruit. If you want to introduce kale or even broccoli, cucumbers.
Tanya, Chris, I think we can all agree that vegetables are what we need to be eating, but are there any vegetables that you just personally don't care for, maybe no matter how you cook them? At the very least, what's your least favorite vegetable and why?
It's a hard-hitting question.
I'm a pretty adventurous palate. The only vegetable that I've ever had a disagreement with is chlorella.
Oh, see, I don't even know. Tell me about chlorella.
It's a Caribbean beer, isn't it?
Chlorella.
It's typically used in Indian and African food. It's a bitter gourd. It's like a bitter squash. You have to really prepare it excellently. I've tried to make it really good and have yet to master chlorella.
Kind of want to try it now.
Yeah, now a bitter gourd sounds like a good challenge. It sounds like something I'm going to eat on a dare. Or it sounds a bitter gourd. I don't know. It sounds like something out of a children's storybook, like the bad guy. The bitter gourd. The way you described, has to be prepared well reminds me of Brussels sprouts. Any tips on Brussels sprouts?
Drench them in butter.
Is that why? Because they're drenched in butter at the restaurant?
You have to blanch them for like a minute in salted boiling water. Take them out, put them in an ice bath immediately so they turn really nice bright green. I quartered them and cooked them with bacon and onions. Reduce them in Guinness beer. They're awesome. Al dente, you want your Brussels sprouts.
You don't want them too mushy. Okay.
Versus the microwave technique that you've probably been using.
Exactly. So frozen Brussels sprouts in the microwave for 3 minutes is not a recipe. Is there any kind of, for lack of a better term, guilty indulgence that you've got? A snack or a dessert or something that you do really like, you have it from time to time, it's not part of a balanced diet, but we are human.
I love chicken wings.
All right.
I could sit in the bathtub with a vat of blue cheese dressing and stalk of celery and just eat chicken wings.
This is another episode idea.
Yeah, right. It sounds like a challenge. Challenge accepted.
I do have one more thing. This is something that I've had a problem with as I grow older, and my lovely wife keeps pointing things out to me that I always thought were healthy as a kid, and then now I can acknowledge that a lot of things aren't healthy that I thought were healthy, but I still run into things where I'm like, wait, that's not healthy? Like raisins, for example. I know they're high in sugar, but it's still a fruit, right?
I wouldn't say raisins are unhealthy. They have a lot of fiber,
Yeah, all right.
which is very good for you, and a lot of vitamins and minerals too.
So I imagine if you cover them in chocolate, for instance, and eat a whole container of them, it starts to get less healthy.
That's my weakness, actually.
There you go.
I
All
knew we
right.
would get a weakness out of you eventually.
And if your weakness is basically raisin-based, then I think that's pretty good.
I knew she'd crack eventually.
I knew if you got into the raisin talk, we'd get to it. We do a little game here on Hungry Dads, and we call it Quick Hits. I'm going to bring up a topic and then ask you 2 questions about it, and I want you to pick one or the other. I'll start with a very simple one, and then that'll give you the format. So we call this Quick Hits. What I'll do is I'll go through all of them, and then we'll go back through and explain ourselves. So first, very simple one. Carrots. Raw or cooked?
Cooked, roasted.
Cooked.
All right.
Do you
so,
like raw carrots? Who likes raw carrots? Everybody likes carrots.
all I eat is raw. We're supposed to discuss it at the end,
All
Rod.
right, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Slow down, Rod. Oh, didn't you hear the rules of quick hits in the beginning? Next, iceberg lettuce. Better than nothing, or no nutritional value and not worth the trouble.
Better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
Doesn't sound like a confident vote.
No.
in iceberg
I
lettuce
would say it
there.
has no nutritional value whatsoever. I would get upset if there's just iceberg lettuce in front of me.
Cheesy broccoli. Ruining a perfectly good vegetable, or better than nothing?
Better than nothing.
We're going to take that as a ruining of vegetable.
We could take that as a pass, because I have a feeling you have thoughts on it. You're very torn. That's good. Okay, last one, and I'm not sure it's going to be any easier. Fast food kids meal, burger, milk, and apples, step in the right direction, or still a bad choice for your kids?
Still a bad choice for your kids.
Yeah, still.
Let's go back through those real quick. We started with carrots. You guys both said you like cooked carrots better.
I like to put carrots in the mise en place for everything, so I really enjoy the carrot, how it melds with the onion and the garlic and the celery. I mean,
Mirepoix.
the mirepoix, yes.
I got to go back on some vocab there. Mirepoix.
Mirepoix. Mirepoix. It's
Mirepoix.
French. It's
French
It's
for
the
what?
French,
Help me.
I guess it's the French sofrito, if you come to think of it. You know what sofrito is?
Oof, you just defined a French word with a Spanish word? You're going to have to get to English, sorry. I'm a man from the Midwest.
Oh gosh, okay. It's a combination of celery, carrots, and onions, and they're chopped, little tiny squares, and
Now you know what he's...
the
yeah,
French put it on everything.
Got
and
it.
the Spanish people make something like that, but they add a little more flavor to it, a little more vegetables.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a Midwest equivalent of that isn't covered in buttermilk ranch dressing.
Maybe coleslaw.
Coleslaw, yeah, I think you're talking about so like coleslaw without the mayonnaise, something like that. I eat all my carrots raw. I don't love the taste of cooked carrots, but mostly the reason I eat them raw is because I guess I'm lazy, and I think I've done something good for myself.
You're actually doing something very good. When you cook it or roast it, you're killing the vitamins and nutrients. So if you eat it raw, you definitely have everything there.
All right. Well, who'd have thought I made a healthy choice? Go figure. Let's talk about iceberg lettuce. Tanya, you really didn't want to answer one way or the other on this. Chris, you said, look, it's better than nothing. And the reason I asked is because Rod was talking earlier about one of those things where, boy, I thought it was healthy. And that's a good example. In my childhood, the vegetable at the table was a salad of iceberg lettuce. And as an adult, now I've come to learn that was basically useless as a vegetable. Was it better than nothing, or was it a complete waste of the spot on my
It's got
plate?
some water in it.
Well,
Yeah.
has,
If you're thirsty, there you go. If you're dehydrated, there you go.
has some water, has some fiber. It's also a vehicle to eat the rest of the vegetables on that salad. If your parents just serve you cucumbers and tomatoes without the iceberg lettuce, maybe you wouldn't eat that.
Cheesy broccoli. Tanya, you especially seem torn by this, so what can you tell us about cheesy broccoli?
I don't think there is a reason to add the cheese, and I know that it tastes really good with that, but I think the broccoli itself has a very good taste. And when you add the cheese to it, you're masking the taste of the broccoli. Cheese is just fabulous. You can eat cheese alone and you can eat broccoli alone. Together, I just think that it's a good combination, but it shouldn't be introduced to the kids because you're taking them away from something that it's good on its own.
I will say, Hugh, that my kids actually like broccoli just by itself. They're pretty awesome.
My kids eat vegetables like champs, and it doesn't have to be smothered in cheese. I don't get it. But I know that's what a lot of parents do. And what it does, I think it communicates that this is the only way it's palatable. Your tongue isn't going to accept it any other way.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Serve broccoli as a regular staple and as a special maybe Sunday dinner or holiday event, introduce like a broccoli cheese bake and have it as a treat rather than an everyday occurrence as a way to eat broccoli.
Yeah, so don't come to expect your broccoli with cheese, but it's a flavor they could come to appreciate as a specialty. And then the last one I mentioned, fast food kids meal. It's a burger, but it's got milk and apples instead of fries and soda. You still said that this is not a good choice for your kids. What would you say to the parent who says, look, I still go get the kids meal at the fast food place, but I'm not getting the fries and soda, I'm getting milk and apples. Shouldn't I be commended for that?
No. There's just so many things with the burger, bread, and the milk. Exactly where is all this coming from? If it's cheap, there's a reason why it's cheap. I think these people need to ask themselves, why is the hamburger 99 cents and why is the lettuce $5? The lettuce is good for you, and if you buy it in a big bag for $5, it's enough for the whole family. The burger is 99 cents, but where does everything come from? How do they make it? No, you don't know what's going on with it. I just very skeptical about everything, about that kind of stuff.
I would also think that you're introducing the kids to the fast food environment in general, so as they grow older, they're not going to go for the apples and milk forever. They're going to switch over to the fries and soda like we did.
Exactly. They're advertising this good food just to bring them in. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
How much does a Happy Meal cost?
Don't pretend like you don't know, Hugh.
Here's why I don't know, and I can't take credit for this. I mentioned earlier that we have wives who toe the line in our family, and fast food is not part of our lives, even if I'd like it to be. The rare occasion it makes it into anyone's life is just when I sneak away to the drive-thru and then quickly hide the trash before I leave the garage, which isn't a rare occasion. But it's safe to say a Happy Meal has not been purchased since I've had
My
kids.
guess would be $4 to $5.
Yeah, that sounds
Imagine
right.
that $45, what you could do with that, with so many healthy meals for your kid.
Okay, so even with some of the new innovations they've tried to sell their fast food with, you'd still say steer clear of the drive-thru. So, Chris, some of our favorite meals, burgers, fries, potato chips, pizza, and chicken wings. If there's any responsible alternatives or methods for us that we could swap out and still be somewhat satisfied.
Burgers, substitute turkey burger or veggie burger. Fries, try sweet potato fries or bake them. Or if you're at a restaurant, order a different side like salad or coleslaw. Chips, try baked chips or even try veggie or kale chips. Pizza, make your own sauce and crust. If you're out, order veggie pizza. Chicken wings, bake the wings and make your own sauces. Even butter and hot sauce rather than store-bought bottled wing sauce. Try Greek yogurt instead of a mayo-based blue cheese dressing.
I thought you were going to say chicken wings bathe with them. That was glad to hear there are more reasonable chicken wing alternatives.
Well, Tanya, Chris, thank you guys so much for joining us. I don't want to sign off without allowing our listeners to know where to find you guys, to learn more about you, to follow you, to contact you. So where can the Hungry Dads listeners get in touch with you or learn more about Coqui the Chef?
Well, they can visit our website, coquiethechef.com. They can follow us on coquiethechef.com. Of course, our handle is coquiethechef.com. Our hashtag is Coqui the Chef. So it's like, you just Google Coqui the Chef, we're in the top. They're very easy to find.
Got it. And if you're on Twitter, you should follow. You guys are on Twitter, I assume?
Yes,
Twitter,
yes.
Facebook. So everyone should follow them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter. Some of you folks who listen to Hungry Dads, you're definitely following the fast food restaurants. You're definitely following the snack food places. We get it. You love that stuff. But pay attention to what Coqui is doing because it's really important. Tanya, Chris, thank you so much.
you.
Keep fighting the good fight.
You too, guys.
Hungry Dads. So here at Hungry Dads, I don't know if we've ever reviewed a healthy food per se on air, but for our fans who've gone to our website, we actually have health food reviews. And a problem that I'm always running into, not just on the website, but in everyday life, is something healthy or not? A lot of times when I'm reviewing things on the website, I tend to stray towards putting it under junk food, when in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, this isn't really junk food. And I don't know if that's just me trying to justify it or being naive or living in my fantasy world of things aren't as bad as they are. I think in my mind, there's a whole other category out there.
Yeah, there's this new sliding scale that I'm constantly experiencing. So up until, 5 years ago, juice was supposedly healthy. Now juice is an indulgence. It used to be the alternative to soda, but now I hear about juice being spoken about in the same tone as soda. It's full of sugar, it's really empty calories, and I tend to agree with it. I also happen to love juice just like I love soda, so I do drink it, but I try to control it now instead of thinking it's a healthy decision.
Yeah, orange juice for me was another one of those light bulb, like, wait, this isn't healthy things. Like, in college, I drank a ton of orange juice trying to be healthy, and I was, like, proud of myself. I'm like, I'm drinking orange juice.
Another one is bananas. Bananas are definitely a fruit, but I think they're the junk
Bananas
food
too,
of
you
fruits.
think?
Yeah,
Bananas?
I mean, I do. I mean, look, I think you can do...
bananas were okay.
I think you can do worse than a banana, but amongst the fruit, it's kind of like the junk food of fruit.
It's high in sugar.
It's high in sugar, it's high in carbs, and frankly, isn't it just a little too delicious to be on par with an apple? So, you know, you've seen various diets, I don't know if you've seen these, where you're allowed to eat all the fruit you can except bananas. Bananas are always excluded. And then that brings us to a whole other category, which is packaged processed foods that are touting themselves as healthy, and maybe they are, or maybe they're healthier. And like you said, we're trying to categorize these things on our website. We are the reasonable, rational food reviewers, and I don't think we can in good conscience call many, if any, processed foods healthy. Like you said, I'd love a word for it. Are they healthier? Are they healthy alternatives?
I have a couple of examples, from our website, items I struggled with where to categorize them under health food reviews or junk food reviews. I'll start with veggie straws, which is under junk food.
Veggie straws.
Veggie straws.
Okay.
Let's read the review. It's pretty short. Veggie straws. Is it just me or are we in the midst of a full-fledged veggie straws craze? I see these things everywhere. Parties, grocery stores, gas stations, my nightmares. Admittedly, I've avoided the craze due to the whole veggie thing, but I finally gave in recently. Here's the verdict. They're good. Quite airy, crunchy, and with a nice amount of salt. The various veggie colors all taste the same to me, which is probably a good thing. However, not to burst everyone's veggie bubbles, but these things aren't much healthier than potato chips. The marketing gurus are using some snappy veggie wording coupled with minute traces of carrot dust to create a quote-unquote healthy option in the minds of consumers. This isn't Cracklin' Oat Sham level of deception, but it's devious for sure. Nonetheless, they taste pretty good. I could eat about 3,000 of these things without being stuffed. They're light, they're airy. They make me look more responsible to the masses out there. That's okay for them to make it occasionally into my snacking repertoire.
And you can check out that review and many reviews like it on hungrydads.com, but I think you boiled it right down. It's called veggie. I think they're trying to say something that they're not.
On the flip side of things, I did a review that our listeners and website readers might be surprised is actually under the health food section. And this is Ghirardelli Midnight Reverie Intense Dark Chocolates. Hugh, have you ever had any intense dark chocolate?
I have not had chocolate that I would call intense.
That's a shame. Well, again, I'll just jump in and read this brief review. Seldom do my snack food names conjure up images of Shakespearean characters, but that's what a midnight reverie sounds like to me. Enter Midnight Reverie dressed in layman clothing. Hark, doth thou protest the conching of these noble snack feasts, my lord? But are they intense, Rod? Yes, but not in a Mountain Dew Doritos Taco Bell hybrid taco soda sort of way. It's more of a, wait, this is chocolate intensity? This is chocolate in pretty much its purest form, with none of that pesky sugar added. This is the cocoa bean. It's an acquired taste for sure, but I've made the acquisition for two main reasons. This stuff is actually healthy, and you won't want to pig out on it. Heart healthy. It's basically like eating heart medication. I think it tastes pretty good, but without a truckload of added sugar. I'm content on eating just one square at a time, which is how the responsible hungry dad should be eating these. Secondly, these are individually wrapped pieces. Within the outer packaging, they are individually wrapped, which make these feel extra special. M&Ms are great, but they're not going to be individually wrapped anytime soon. Opening these is like Christmas morning every single night. Sure, it's the same gift every time, but when it's the gift of health packed in a chocolate square, that's fine by me. So as you heard there, these are healthy when eaten in moderation, but it's kind of a strange cycle, because they don't taste great, but they taste decent to me, and they're chocolate.
It's almost like one of the health aspects to it is the fact that it isn't particularly delicious.
Right, nothing I'm going to binge on. It's interesting, you're right.
Rod, you just read 2 reviews from our website, and I think what I want our listeners to know is we are struggling with where to categorize this. You might be listening and saying, this is ridiculous. You cannot call a chocolate a health food. On the other hand, you might be saying, this is ridiculous. Veggie straws are a healthy alternative. They should be in the health foods. We urge you to hit us up on Twitter, come to our website, make a comment, tell us what you think. think? What kind of category should these be in? Or is there a third category that we could come up with to call these foods that are, I don't think, necessarily healthy in the same way a carrot's healthy, but they might not be junk food in the same way a Twinkie is junk food. I think it's something that the Hungry Dad is trying to figure out.
It's a never-ending battle. Hungry Dads.
Listeners, in the last segment, when Rod was reading his review of Veggie Straws, you might have heard him reference Cracklin' Oat Sham. You might be wondering what he's talking about there. Well, I'm going to tell you. If you've never come across a box of Kellogg's cereal Cracklin' Oat brand, or if you've simply never bothered to take a good look at that box, I have one simple piece of advice for you. Don't look. Don't turn the box around. Don't get bored looking for something to read at your breakfast table. Whatever you do, don't read the nutrition label. If you have to look at the box of Cracklin' Oat brand, keep your eyes on the front of the box. Latch onto the words oat, latch onto the word bran. Think no further. Look at the picture. Those brown O's look healthy. They aren't rainbow colored, they aren't chocolate, so yeah, they gotta be healthy. This is your last chance, listener. Please, if you don't know, if you've never read the nutrition label for Cracklin' Oat brand, turn off your podcast now. I refuse to be the one who ruins your day. Okay, you still with us? Then you must be one of those unfortunate souls who read that stupid nutrition label. Cracklin' Oat brand, why have thou forsaken me? Cracklin' Oat Sham is more like it. When I was a kid, my mom bought a box of that stuff, undoubtedly because she had a coupon. Of course, seeing a brand name, I suspected another scheme by my mom to wean me off of sugary children's cereals. But I ate it. And to my absolute delight, it tasted like cookies. Really yummy cookies. Finally, a healthy cereal that tasted as good as, or better, than Cookie Crisp. I shared my oat bran enthusiasm with my mom. I was an oat bran man, so long as it was of the Cracklin' variety. Cracklin' Oat bran made it on our regular grocery list, with or without a coupon. And my mom liked it too. Mother and son bonding over a healthy breakfast cereal. It was magical. But then one day, my dear mother foolishly flew too close to the sun. She forgot that ignorance was bliss, and she looked at the nutrition label. 200 calories in a 3/4 cup serving, 7 grams of fat. As a point of reference, that same amount of Cookie Crisp has 100 calories and 1 gram of fat. And when have I ever just eaten 3/4 a cup of anything? Here's a description of Cracklin' Oat brand from the Kellogg's website. How does cereal get to taste so good? By combining golden oats sweetened with brown sugar, flakes of coconut, a dusting of ground cinnamon, a splash of vanilla flavoring, and sprinkled with nutmeg. I'll ask that question again. How does a cereal get to taste so good? With 200 calories and 7 grams of fat, all crammed into 3/4 of a cup. But Rod, I'm not mad at Kellogg's. Not at all. They created a dream cereal. How could I be mad at them? I'm not mad at those fine people at Oreo. I love their cookie. So as with most things, I've decided to blame the government. Those Washington, D.C. bigwigs and their FDA are just forcing me to know what's in that delicious cereal. The Food and Drug Administration? More like the Flavor Discrimination Administration. I think we can all agree, Cracklin' Oat brand should get a pass. In the upcoming election, I'm endorsing any candidate who will push legislation to allow Kellogg's to just lie to us about Cracklin' Oat brand. It's oat, it's bran. Based on that alone, can't we just all agree that it should be really healthy? Let's just say it's like 100 calories. Let's just say it's a gram of fat or something like that. If we all believe it, it's pretty much true.
Hungry Dads. Visit our website at hungrydads.com. Follow us on Twitter at hungry_dads. This has been a Hungry Dads production. Hello and welcome. I haven't messed one up in a long time.
Oh man,
That's
this is
bad.
ruined.
It's a bad omen. I thought bananas were okay.